What are we going to talk about today? We're going to focus on 3 main points. Point number 1. We want to create effective ads, but we want to create effective ads based on strategy. One of the things you'll hear us talk about, and anyone who attended other seminars, I'm happy to see some people attended other seminars, and you came to this one anyway. So I appreciate that, thank you. We don't want to just create ads. We don't want to just do stuff. We don't want to just do things to say that we did them, or so that we can feel good, so that we got something checked off, that we got something off our desk, that we can go to someone and say, yes, I put that together. We want to create ads that are effective, and we want to create ads after we've put together a full and comprehensive strategy. The goal is not to just do stuff. The goal is to do stuff that works, stuff that's going to make you successful, stuff that's going to help the business. Okay? The second thing we're going to talk about is the pros and cons of different types of advertising. And there's always a struggle nowadays, and one of the most common questions I get asked is, what about traditional advertising? Should I still be in the yellow pages? Should I still buy a billboard? Should we still get in the newspaper? Does Clipper magazine make sense? Does anyone here ever struggle with that? And the answer that I give everyone, and I say it with complete confidence, clarity, and I know I'm right, the answer is maybe. Right? Maybe it makes sense for you. Maybe it makes sense for your business. Maybe it's going to be a good strategy. Let's talk about when it's appropriate and what will make it more effective. The third thing we're going to talk about is how and when to use different types of advertising. When are they going to be most effective? Who are they going to be most effective for? When does it make sense to do this versus this? Okay? So let's get started. Let's talk about strategy. And before we go into strategy, let me ask one question. Who can tell me the difference between a plan or a strategy and just a hope or a wish? Anybody? I'm sorry?
Action.
Action could be part of it. What else? It's a good answer, not the one I'm looking for specifically. Anything else? What? Action is definitely a part of it. What else?
A well-defined plan and move it forward.
A well-defined plan to move it forward, that's correct. And what constitutes a well-defined plan? Or what is one main component of a well-defined plan and action?
Thought out, written down.
Say again?
It's written down.
It's written down or typed out. Otherwise, it's just a dream. I've met people over the years, too, that have written down plans on a cocktail napkin. Does that make it any less of a plan? You know, it depends on who you're looking at. But it's written down. It's a goal. It's definite. It's something that you've committed to. And once you commit to it, once you have a good strategy, then what's the most important thing?
Action.
Action. A good plan without doing it is worthless. It's just a hope. So it has to be a strategy. It has to be thought out ahead of time. It has to be written down. And then you darn well better act on it. Great plans without action are just words, are just meaningless. Just for clarification too, we're going to talk today about advertising in general. A lot of times when we talk to people, they kind of lump marketing and advertising together. And we're going to talk in a couple minutes about who does that more than anyone else. What's the difference between marketing and advertising? 50,000-foot view, easy definition. What's the difference between marketing and advertising? Anybody want to take a shot? I know, it's hard to be the first. Yes?
Well, marketing has a plan, advertising is maybe just one small component of it.
That, great explanation. Advertising is a part of marketing. Marketing is the overall picture. Think of it in terms of being healthy. Marketing is you're going to eat right, you're going to go to the gym, you're going to exercise, you're going to lift weights, you're going to do things. Advertising is flexing your muscle after you've done all these things. Advertising is specifically, look at me and listen to what I have to say. Marketing is here's all the things that constitute this that you should be paying attention to. We talked before about, we break down marketing and we break it down in what we call the peso model. It just helps us remember it. PESO is paid, earned, shared, and owned. Today, we're going to focus on advertising, which is the paid aspect of it. It's your general advertising, it's your banner ads, it's your pay-per-clicks, and it's your sponsored posts. All the other components are vitally important. That's a different subject. One of the things too, and I say this quite a bit, and I'm going to go back to what I asked earlier as to who confuses marketing and advertising the most. And I'm going to say this. They're generally people that are guilty of trying to make you have a tactic dump. What do I mean by a tactic dump? There's a few of you that have met with me, and I've accused you of this, right? And I said it lovingly, okay? A tactic dump is that you feel like you've got to do something, right? My business is starting to slip. The holidays are coming. I'm going into the third quarter. I've got to put together plans. I've got to do things. What do? Some people make it easy for you to go into a tactic dump. And I'm not making fun of these people. We may have a couple of them in the room. All right? But it would be, who's guilty of this? The newspaper guy, the TV guy, the billboard people, the radio guy, the Clipper magazine rep. What are they going to tell you? Oh my gosh, if you want to be successful, you've got to get in Clipper magazine. You're not in Clipper magazine? What are you thinking? You're not on the radio? Do you know how many people listen to the radio? Television. How could you possibly look more important to everyone than if you're in television? Oh my gosh, the newspaper. Everybody our age reads the newspaper. It reaches people. Are these correct? Are these helpful? Could these be a big benefit to you? Definitely. Did I offend you? Do you sell radio?
No, I'm just kidding.
Definitely, completely, probably, undeniably, maybe. Okay? What I'm going to say to you is, don't just jump into doing things. Don't be guilty of a tactic dump. Are these the right strategies for you? Are these the right tactics? Should you be doing any of these? Maybe. But take a step back and follow the steps. What we're going to talk about too, this would be a good place. If everyone looks in your packet, you have a little sheet and we talk about the steps to the marketing process. Step number one is before you jump into any of these, sit down and do a full discovery. Make sure you completely understand your business and what your objectives are. Make sure you understand who your target audience is. Make sure you understand the best way to reach that target audience. Make sure you have a clearly defined message. Make sure you've clearly defined your USP. What is it about you that makes you special? What is it about you that makes you unique? What is it that you want the world to know about you? If you just jump in and start doing things and you've not done this before you create your strategy, you might be successful, but you might not. Does doing this guarantee you success? No. I wish it did. Reality is it doesn't. But does it improve your odds of being successful? It absolutely does. Because you've done your homework first. So if you guys will notice, tactics are number 4. Most companies start with number 4. And again, it's because the Clipper rep stopped by, the radio rep stopped by, somebody in your office is telling you got to get out there and do something. What are you doing? You're not doing anything. We need business. Do you understand how cold it's getting? Avalanche Express is going to start up in a couple weeks. Does it sound familiar?
Yeah.
Okay. And it happens. Don't be guilty of the tactic dump. Take a step back, work on a strategy. Now, when we talk about a strategy, step number 1, when you do a strategy, what are your goals? What do you hope to accomplish? What is your objective? What do you want people to know? What do you want them to feel? How are you going to define success of that? Second part of it is, who are you trying to reach? And then what goes along with who you're trying to reach? What's the best way to reach them? What's the most cost-effective way to get the message out to the target audience? Okay? We talk about marketing all the time, and I say that marketing is the hardest thing in the world and the easiest thing in the world. It's very simply telling the right story to the right people at the right time. Advertising is a way to get that story out there to the right people. Strategic advertising makes that story more clear, more effective, and it reaches the most people in the best manner possible. Okay? When you talk about putting together strategy, you talk about putting together plans, we always say there's two ways to do it. Way number one is the ideal way. You take a look at what are my goals, what do I hope to accomplish, and then what do you say? How am I going to do that? What is it going to cost me to make that happen? How much do I have to invest in this? What tactics do I need to do? How often do I need to be in here to reach this many people? How many dollars do I need to invest in pay-per-click to get to this audience? How many people live in that world where you say, look, here's our goal, here's what we want to accomplish, and your boss or the owner just says, here's a blank check. You do whatever you need to, and at the end, you just tell me what it costs and I'll be glad you accomplished your goal. Does anyone work under those principles? Some companies do, some bigger companies. Many of us, though, live in what world?
The real world.
The real world, and that's great, and it's effective, it's the best way to do it. For most people, though, you're working with a budget. And what does the boss tell you? What does the owner tell you? What does the board tell you? Here's what you have, do the best you can with it, and it better be good. Sound familiar? Okay. One isn't right, one isn't wrong, it's just a question of what do you have to work with and how are you going to do it. I'm going to talk to you today about both aspects of this. Make sense? There's the ideal way, which is, what are your goals? Here's what we need to do to accomplish those goals. Number two is, here's what I have to spend. What's the best way we're going to do this? Where am I going to get the most bang for my buck? Creating an ad. Can I get a show of hands? Who in this room is responsible for the advertising portion of their marketing? A bunch of us. How do you create ads? How do you determine what ads you're going to create, where you're going to put them, what they're going to look like, what the offer is, what the call to action is? Who determines it? Sir?
Well, I'm pretty much, have to determine, okay, I've already moved through the first three things, taken on this hat that I'm wearing, not only the president, okay, but also in charge of marketing like that.
It's a big hat and it's got a lot of different parts to it.
It's a lot of different parts, so I've already moved past the first three, because I've out, my advantage I'm bringing to the club, I'm the first person ever who's joined the club who actually has a degree in business. I had 2 semesters
Good.
in marketing,
That's great.
so I've already been able to move past the first three. I've already set my goal is to get increased membership and get increased number of visitors coming through the door.
Okay, good.
Club. Those are my 2 goals. Those 2 goals will roll over into more funds coming into the
Okay.
into our treasury.
It's kind of a, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's kind of a double-edged sword. Does anyone have that where, yeah, you can have more money when you start getting more people in the door. But what do you need to get more people in the door?
Understand who you're talking to.
Understand who you're talking to, and some money to spend oftentimes. Yeah, you better understand who you're talking to first. Good. I'm going to say this. One of the hardest things you do sometimes is inspiration. One of the other hardest things you do too is, and we talk about this all the time, make sure you really do understand your ideal customer, and make sure you really do understand who you are and what you represent. What do I mean by that? All too often, people look at their business and they don't necessarily see it through the eyes of the customer. They see it through the eyes of love. They see it through the eyes of how hard they had to work to make it what it is today. How much sweat it took to get there. How much better it is today than it was years ago. When you're looking at your business and you're looking at ads and you're looking at your clients and you're looking at what you offer, make sure you look at it through the most important perspective of all. And what is that? The eyes of the customer. Absolutely. Because that's ultimately what matters. When we work with clients, we try and look at things 3 different ways, 3 different perspectives. Number 1, from yours, because no one will ever know the business as well as you do. Number 2, ours, because we're objective. And we do have experience through different areas. And number three, and the most important one, is the eyes of the customer. Always have to look at it through those perspectives whenever possible. So creating an ad, number one, let's make sure we have a message. Let's make sure we tell the right story. And the message always has to have different components. The message should be this: who am I? Why should you care? And what do I want you to do? Because if I'm a client, that's what I'm looking at. Who are you? Why should I care? What do you want me to do? Think about it. Don't let basics, don't let the easy stuff get in the way of the bigger stuff. So number one, make sure you have a good, clear, impactful message. All right? Make sure you have something worthwhile to say, something worthwhile to advertise. Make sure you're paying attention to the fact that you've got a forum here, you are exposed to the world, everyone's going to be looking at this. This is your place to have everyone look at you. Make sure you've got something worthwhile to look at. Now, one of the things we talk about too, the core concept of ads has not changed in over a century. It's still, who are you? Why should I care? What do you want me to do? But the look and feel has changed. If you go back, we go all the way back to the 1700s. And what did people advertise for back then? Soap. It was a specific product. All right, it's soap. You want to buy soap? You buy it from me, Jim the soap maker. Because there weren't hundreds of other choices. It was soap. If you wanted to buy soap, you went and bought soap. Back in the 1890s, it started to shift a little bit, not just into buying soap, but it was about buying a specific type of soap. It was about then building a brand. It was about brand advertising. Not just soap. You don't want to have just soap. You need ivory soap. Why ivory soap? It floats. It's pure. It's great. Today, in the age of big competition, in the age of everyone's competing with something, in the age of being overexposed, it's not just about a product. It's not just about a brand. It's about a lifestyle. It's about, how does your product make me feel? How does it solve my problems? How does it improve the way I act and feel? I was at a seminar for Chick-fil-A not too long ago, and they covered things like that, their culture. They talked about how they're not selling chicken sandwiches, they're selling experiences, they're selling family time, they're selling togetherness, feeling good. That is a great example of what's going on today. Our example is Dove. What are they selling? They're not selling soap, they're not selling a brand, they're selling feeling beautiful. And you're beautiful no matter who you are, what your age is, what you look like. It's all about you. Right? So it's not about the brand, it's about how that brand makes you feel. Core concept, I said, hasn't changed. First advertising seminar I ever went to, marketing advertising seminar I ever went to was it back in, I think it was 1990. It was held by a radio station, and they talked about the basic components of advertising. And I'll tell you, it was experienced then, it was time proven then, it's time proven now. The core concept of advertising is still following the ADA principle. How do you know if you have a good ad? How do you know if it's effective? How do you know if it's proven? Ask yourself, does it have all the different components of ADA? What that means is there something that grabs your attention right off the bat? Does it stop them in their tracks? Is it powerful? Is it different? Is it unexpected? Is it something that just begs you to look at it? Look at it. Number two, does it keep your interest? I jokingly talked about ADHD, okay? Excuse me, what does today's consumer have? How long can you keep someone's attention nowadays? It gets harder and harder and harder. We talked about in the last seminar, you're not competing with people for other products. You're competing with time, you're competing with attention, you're competing with entertainment. It's engagement, you're competing with engagement. Make sure that in all your ads, after you get their attention, you do something interesting to draw them in. Third part is desire, okay? I've looked at this, I've got a little bit of interest to it. What's the next step? Do I want to do it? Do I want it? Does it make me feel good? Do I relate to it? Is it the type of lifestyle that I'm looking for? All these two should be geared toward who? Whom? The target customer. The people that you want to pay attention to. Don't try and make everybody in the world happy. Just focus on the people that you want to speak to, people that can benefit from what you have to offer. And lastly, is the ad going to convert? Is it going to cause me to take action? Click here, buy now, call us, stop in, look at this, pick this up. Who am I? Why should I care? What do you want me to do? The fourth part of this, the most important is, am I going to do it? Just because you want me to, just because you told me to, doesn't mean I'm going to do it. If your ad is compelling, if it's telling the right story to the right people, they're going to take action. Okay? What do we call that? A call to action. It's a conversion. Here's an example. This is an ad about an organization called StrongerMarriage.org. Okay? One of the things about this, you talk about, does it have all the components of ADA? What is the attention grabber there? Me. Tell me who in here isn't interested in me. And I don't mean me, I mean you. Okay? Doesn't that get your attention right off the bat? The second part of this, who here is married? Okay? If you're looking at this with your spouse, what is the interest grabber on this? How to build a lasting relationship. If you're married and you're looking at this with your spouse, you better sit up and pay attention to this. Right? I was looking at this with my wife, going over some things. This, going back, we did this the first time. My wife stops in her tracks. I mean, I'm looking at slides all day. She stops in her tracks and looks at this. She goes, "Oh, that's really nice." I'm going, "Yeah, it's a slide we're trying to get through." She goes, "Oh, well, don't you want to build a lasting relationship?" Of course I do. That's why I picked this specifically. Thanks, Kelly. Right. And then the desire. If you want a stronger marriage, work on it together. My wife sat down right next to me. All right? And what did we do together? We took the action. We clicked on the link for tips in a stronger relationship, for tips in a stronger marriage. That is a very good ad. And it is very simple. It doesn't have a lot of flashing lights. It's not super fancy. There's not dancing llamas in it. It's very simple. But it has all the elements of a strong ad. It has a good attention grabber. It captures your interest. It creates desire. And it gives you something to do. Click on this next to find out about a stronger marriage. Another example. This one's a little bit more extreme. Cat. Built for it video. We had a video, but we had some technical difficulty, all right? So we had to bail on the video and just go with the still, so I apologize for that. What's the attention grabber in this? Got a couple pieces of heavy equipment are about to play Jenga, all right? All the guys in this room, and with a few exceptions, are just mesmerized, all right? Who played with Tonka toys and Tonka trucks when you were a kid? Let's see how old I am. Who likes to go out there now and play with the lawn tractor? All right? And anyone has anyone ever driven something like this? Have you? They won't let me. I'll get in trouble. Okay? But it's just an attention grabber. How cool is this that these two huge pieces of equipment are going to move some things? And what kind of equipment is this? What's the manufacturer? Caterpillar. The interest. They start to stack this stuff up. They start to pull it apart. When it'd be really impactful if the video was playing. All these things are going on, and these big pieces of heavy equipment are pulling out these great big logs, and you're just waiting for them to fall and crush something. The desire. It's designed to get it done no matter what it is. No one really knows what it is. But whatever it is, people need it and they want to get it done and they want to use heavy equipment to do it. Okay? Now, does this ad appeal to everybody? No. But it's not designed to. It's designed to appeal to people that are interested in heavy equipment, who might purchase heavy equipment, who might operate heavy equipment, or who might think it's great to have some heavy equipment that moves stuff. And then lastly, click on this thing and you're going to see more of it and you're going to learn more about heavy equipment. So, good example of all the components. Now, for you guys, what type of advertising should you do? Can I get a show of hands? Who is doing Facebook ads? Okay. Who's doing pay-per-click ads? Who does ads in the newspaper? Who does billboards? Got a really mixed view. Who thinks they're doing a great job with their ads? Some of you do. I see them. You're doing a good job. And some of you are just humble. Who thinks they're doing okay? Who thinks they're doing pretty good, but they really just don't know if they could be doing better? That's where the majority of us live. And how do you know if you're doing as well as you could be? Even if you're measuring, even if you're testing, how do you know if it could be better? Age-old question, okay? So talking about different types of ads. Let's start with traditional advertising, all right? And traditional advertising would be newspaper, TV, radio, it would be billboards, okay? The pros of traditional advertising. You reach a large audience. There's high perceived value, all right? Because if you have a TV ad or you're doing a billboard, people think you must be pretty important, right? Well, they've got a TV ad. Oh, they're on the billboard, okay? It has a long shelf life. And it's very good oftentimes at attracting a local audience, okay? Who here meets those criteria? You want a local audience, it's a wide range of people, definitely nonprofits, snow tubing, good. Are you using traditional media? Good. And if we come away with nothing else today, make sure you're using the principles of what makes good ads, okay? And then the last piece, make sure you're doing something to track it, okay? The cons, they are declining response rates, okay? People don't look to traditional media like they used to. People watch TV, but what do they do to the commercials? People like me still read the paper every day, but what do I do with it? Now, I have a professional interest in the ads in the paper. Bless you, Suzanne. But most people do what? Ignore them. Skim through them. Gloss over them. And generally, traditional media is pretty expensive. All right? Who here has paid for a radio campaign recently? A TV campaign? They're wildly expensive, hard to track, and you don't know if it's as effective as it could be. Okay? Who here, does anyone still go in the yellow pages? Anyone want to admit to it? Okay. Yellow pages for years have been the hardest thing for people to let go. Not as much today, but go back 7, 8 years ago, people would just be like almost in shock or like they're just in withdrawal if they had to get rid of yellow pages. More and more people are getting rid of yellow pages. Do they still have a place? Maybe they're hard to get rid of. It's hard to gauge. Traditional ads. They're great for branding and awareness campaign, and they're aimed at wide audiences. What that means is if you want people to know who you are and what you do and that you're available and your doors are open, you have all these things, traditional media is a great way to go. Traditional media can be helpful to you, okay? It also, again, is for someone that has wide ranges, wide audience, so TV, radio, and for decades, for centuries, many brands were built on the backs of traditional media. Nowadays, though, what I'm going to say to you is traditional media still works, traditional media still has a place, but to make it stand out, to make it just a little better, whenever possible, we're going to recommend that you try and personalize as much of traditional media as you can. Easiest illustration of that would be direct mail. I want to come in a little bit more, but let me ask a question. Who here uses direct mail? Do you know your response rates for these? Do you know, if I were to ask you, what is the population right now that has the best success rate with direct mail? Meaning, if you mail to this particular aspect of the population, who's opening direct mail more than any other generation around right now today?
Baby boomers.
Baby boomers?
Or older.
They're up there. Who else? Seniors? Who else? Who said millennials? Correct, but millennials are the #1 people that are opening direct mail right now. 63% of millennials admit to opening up a direct mail piece in the last 30 days. Why is that? What's that?
I said you made it sound like a confession.
I know. I opened the mail. I did it. Why are millennials opening up mail in higher levels than any other segment of the population? They never got it. It's like a bit, look, this came from me. From me. Yeah, not you, Dad. Me. Why? Because how do you bank? Right? How do you look at information? How do you look at your news? How do you do things? How do you do your, I mean, when was the last time you had to write out a check or send in a bill or something came for you that you had to fill out? You just don't do it. So direct mail works very well right now for millennials. And if you do one thing, you increase the odds on that exponentially. You know what that one thing is? Say it again?
Handwritten.
That's definitely a big deal. Handwritten, and add one thing to that.
Personalized.
Personalize it. Put your name on it. You know why? They've never gotten a piece of mail that said it was for them specifically. They keep thinking they live with this guy named Occupant. All right? But put their name on it, and it starts to mean something. So direct mail works, and yes, it works for seniors, and yes, it works for boomers, because they're used to it, bless you. But overwhelmingly, it's starting to work for millennials. Taking personalization to the next step. Iconic brands. We talked about how they were built on some traditional media. Coca-Cola. Anyone ever heard of them? Coca-Cola, arguably a very successful company. Coca-Cola sells billions and billions of dollars worth of Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola has saturated markets. Would we say that? Coca-Cola is hard to beat. Everybody knows about Coca-Cola, but Coca-Cola had a problem. The problem was, we've got to sell more Coke. You're not the only ones, all right? They're saying, look, I don't care how well you're doing. We're not selling enough Coke. How do we sell more Coke? What did Coke do? What did they want to do? They put your name on it. And ordinarily at this point in the presentation, I bring out a couple bottles of Coke with people's names on. You can't find them right now, right? That's also an example of sometimes you have to move on from campaigns even when they're successful. Coca-Cola started a program where it was share a Coke. And Chris would bring a Coke for Tom. And he'd say, oh my gosh, here's a Coke for you, Dan. And Dan would buy me a Coke next time because they owed me. Once they started to put a Coke on it, they saw a 2% increase in sales. And to all of us in this room, when we talk about 2%, it's a big deal, 2%. What does 2% represent to Coca-Cola? 2% is 200 million Cokes. And what was different? They've been marketing forever. People had seen everything with Coke. I can't possibly buy any more Coke until they put their names on it. Then they started to sell a lot more Coke. Okay? Personalization works. Okay? One thing too, and we're going to talk about more of this in a minute, it wasn't just putting a name on a Coke and putting it in the stores. It was about doing what? Getting the campaign out there. And how did they do it? Did they just do it on billboards? Did they just do radio ads? They hit all the markets. They integrated it because why? Everybody gets information just a little bit differently. Some people are going to get their Coca-Cola from walking into Rutter's and they see a sign and there's a special Coca-Cola 2 for $2. Other people are going to get it how? How do you get information as a rule? TV? How else? Radio. Radio? How else? On your phone? How else? I'm sorry?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. They used an integrated campaign, and it didn't matter how you got your information. It didn't matter what source you used. You still knew about Coca-Cola, and it had a name on it, and you went out and got it. Because some people found it on their phone, some people found it on Facebook, some people found it because their neighbor told them, some people walked into the store, some people saw a TV ad, a radio ad. It's integrated. People tell me too, well look, personalization works, but what do you do if you're not a national brand, or you haven't done tons of research, or how the heck am I going to get everybody's name on something that I'm doing? Here's an example of a local area that wanted to do some personalization wanted to set themselves apart and had a very, very unique challenge. The unique challenge was that this particular company sold insurance. Now, when you talk about buying insurance, this is home, auto, and life. What is it about insurance that could make it difficult to market and difficult to set yourself apart from everyone else? Insurance is a commodity, meaning if I'm buying a homeowner's plan and I'm buying it from State Farm, it's the same plan whether I buy it from you or you or you. So what set them apart? Why is someone going to buy homeowner's insurance from them versus anyone else? It's because they personalized it by the area in which they live. This is a little town in the Northwest that kind of prided themselves on understanding their neighbors, being close to their neighbors, thinking that they're a little bit different, unique, so they started campaigns for their neighbors. They were a little quirky, a little edgy, they kind of made fun of themselves a little bit, but they did local media. They did a billboard for the sandals and socks guys. They did a billboard for the obsessive compulsive recycler. They did a direct mail piece for the goat renter guy. Okay? And in it they talked about, we're a lot like you. We're a little different. So people could relate to them. People were saying, look, they are like us. What sets them apart? What makes them unique? They're just like us. They understand what we're all about. And again, an integrated campaign, I think there were some Facebook ads, there were ads on their website, there were videos, but it was an integrated campaign that drew people in, and it's an example of how you market to a commodity and set yourself apart, and more importantly, how do you personalize something on a mass scale without spending a fortune? That's a great way to do it. Now, going from traditional to more digital. Why digital advertising? Pros. Lower cost than traditional. It's easier to track. You can target in an advanced fashion, and it's interactive. When you talk about digital marketing, digital advertising, and advanced targeting, how finite can you get? How far can you drill down when you're targeting through digital? Anybody want to take a stab or give me a comment on that? How finite can I get, Asian?
To the exact person that you want, basically.
Yeah. What are the type of criteria that you can search for, or you can target?
Location, age, ethnicity,
Income?
what their hobbies are.
Hobbies. It's almost scary. Now, here's the thing. I Googled, Big Brother knows everything. You can be scared by it and stay away from it, or you can be scared by it and try and make some money with it, all right? It's here. You might as well use it to your advantage. So digital is very good at many things. The cons, it can be a little bit more complicated to implement. And sometimes because everyone is starting to understand how it works, and yeah, they knew about it, it's not surprising anymore. People are realizing it's not a coincidence that they're being targeted, okay? It can become off as somewhat less personalized at times, okay? For a minute, let's talk about pay-per-click. Again, who here does pay-per-click advertising? A bunch of you. And we'll start with, when we talk about pay-per-click, there's two parts. There's the search network, and then there's the display network. And the search network is when you're typing in specific things. You're looking for results based on what you typed in. The display network are ads. So to start with the search network, these are results based on your actual searches, okay? Where is this most effective? Pay-per-click is for when people want it now, okay? Pay-per-click is fast, you get measurable results, and it's for quick purchases. What I mean by that is, if I'm searching for plumbers in York County, why do you think I'm doing that? I have a leak. Something's bad, like something bad happened, and when do I want to find out about this? Now. How much am I going to shop around?
Not much.
Yeah, how much research am I going to do at this point?
Not much.
Why am I searching for that? I got a problem. I need it now. So pay-per-click can be very effective for when you need something now. And we have X in Lancaster as an indicator of more immediate purchase intent. It works for York too. Okay. I need it now. It's also good for long-term value or high margin purposes. What do I mean by that? average cost per click on Google Search Network is $2.32. That's average. Some of you have items on there that you're paying $20 or $30 a click for. All right, generally they're in either more competitive or for higher value purchases. The average cost per action is $59.18, meaning it does take multiple tries to get there. So if you're selling automobiles, knowing these statistics, could that be a good investment? Probably. If you're selling hotel rooms, could that be a good investment? If you're selling gazebos, I was going to say a couple different things. Is that a good investment? Probably. If you're selling chicken sandwiches, maybe, maybe not. If you want to come back, because you're not selling what?
Well, we don't sell chicken sandwiches, we're in
What?
the people business.
You're in the people business. You're selling experience. You're selling lifetime customers. And sorry to commoditize it that way, but that's okay. But that's the idea. If you're selling flip-flops and your flip-flops cost $4, don't spend $2 on a click. All right, it's not a good investment. One thing too, for those of you buying pay-per-click, how much does the quality of your website affect how much you're paying for each click? Anyone want to tackle that? I guess I'll say it this way. Who thinks the way it works is whoever pays the most for a click wins? And all you have to do is outspend the other guy.
No.
No. There's
No. You go to the website and you can't find what you thought you were clicking for, or
right.
something like that. It's a poorly designed website, and it's like,
And how does Google view
I'm
that?
out of here.
Yep. And Google looks at that, and what does Google say? You're wasting my time. You're wasting my client's time. I'm trying to create a good experience here. I'm trying to send people to wherever it makes the most sense. So let me say this. Anyone who's doing pay-per-click, before you spend another dollar on pay-per-click, go back and take a look at your website. Is your website as good as it can be? Is your website designed to convert? Is your website relevant? Are the words on your website that you're trying to get people to find, are they as they should be? Are the words you're searching for proper? When you talk about pay-per-click, there's a formula that Google follows to determine how much you're going to pay and how far up the chain you go on. It's called your ad rank. And your ad rank is your quality score times your maximum bid. So if you have a really good ad rank, you can pay less to get clicks. If you have a crappy ad rank, bless you, you're going to pay more to get clicks. And you won't have as many opportunities to get people to your site. What affects quality score? Your click-through rate. Meaning if people get to your site, to your point, are they jumping right off because they didn't really want to be there? It was a mistake. Landing page quality. When I get to the landing page, am I finding what I'm looking for? Is this where I'm supposed to be? Can I navigate this easily? Can I make 1 or 2 clicks to get where I want to be? Relevant keywords. Did I get there and was it a trick? Or did I actually find what I wanted to find? Did I stay there? Did I take the next step? Google factors all that in. And then along with that, not just keywords, but add text. It's not just a game anymore to put a couple good keywords up there. There has to be relevance to the site. It has to make logical sense that this is where I belong. Here's an example of PPC done right. We talked about this. What was the intent of my search? What were the benefits when I got to your site? And where did you send me? Where did I link to when I got there? This is done right. This is an example of, coincidentally, Worley-Oakland's client. Okay? We did some pay-per-click for them. They typed in business heating oil. So what's relevant? What was the search intent? If I'm typing in business heating oil, what did I want? No great mystery. I wanted heating oil for my business. What's the first line up there? Oil delivery for your business. Bulk fuel. There's benefits. I can click to find exactly what I'm looking for. It made sense for me to be there. This keeps my cost per click down low. PPC gone wrong. Someone typed in Ford Focus brakes. One thing came up correctly. What else came up? Drive a 2014 Mazda R3 today. Why was that in there? Somebody had keywords Ford in there because Mazda is a component of Ford. But if I was typing in Ford Focus brakes, what did I want?
Great.
Ford Focus brakes. In the scenario I just painted, if I didn't have brakes, I was probably driving about to crash. All right, I needed brakes quickly. All right, but another part of that too is, let's say the intent is correct, the intent of the search is correct. Make sure that you're not engaging in anti-advertising. Here's someone that was looking for a limo company. What was the first thing that came up there? Not serving prom or school dancing. What kind of an impression does that leave if you're looking for a limo company?
Negative.
Not good. What does it tell them? Who do you think of when you see that? What does that tell you about the company? Grouchy old bastards. All right? Grumpy old people. What do they say? Get off my lawn. All right? Maybe not the people you want to have driving you around. Okay? So again, make sure when you're doing PPC, the search intent is correct. Make sure people are finding what they're looking for, and there should be no tricks. The goal isn't to just get them to the site. The goal is to get them to the site because they belong on the site, because you can help them, you can solve a problem. Display ads. Okay, there's search and then display ads.
Go back to the previous slide.
Yes, sir.
The Ford brake comes Ford Canada.
Say that again?
It says Ford CA, that's Ford Canada, not Ford US.
So it wasn't even you, right?
It wasn't even right search.
So if I were looking to get brakes shipped to me, that's fine. If I want to go pick them up at the auto parts store or get my service done, bad choice. So yeah, not good. Thank you for pointing that out. Not good in anything. Display ads. A display ad is where it's not just your search intent, you're actually posting an ad somewhere for people to see. Now, display ads reach 2 million sites, okay? 90% of all global internet users can find display ads, okay? That's 180 billion ad impressions. So, can it be effective? Are a lot of people going to see it? Absolutely. Is that specific type of advertising right for your business? It may be. Display ads are good because you can highlight your business. If you do them well, people will pay attention to them. There is one drawback to them. Anybody want to guess what it is? Tell me what the drawback is to a display ad. I'm looking at something, I'm browsing the internet, I'm looking for different things. What's good and what's bad about a display ad? It's good because I see different things.
I almost never see it,
Why is that?
because I'm not looking for it.
Yeah, you know why? Because they can be annoying. They're not targeted. They popped up there. And again, can they have some appeal? Yeah. Do people get annoyed by them? Do people phase them out? Yeah. But the thing is this. Yes, they have a very low view rate, very low conversion rate, very low engagement rate. But again, we talk about big numbers. It's a very small percentage of billions of people. So if you only get a 0.5%, a 1/100%, it's a 1/100% of billions of people. So they still can be very effective. Again, you have to make sure you do them well. You have to make sure you catch people's attention. You have to make sure you draw them some interest. You have to make sure that there's creative desire. So they can be effective, but you've got to do them well. Because you're competing with people that just want to tune you out. Who here does a version of retargeting? So, retargeting is when, and there's two versions of retargeting. Number one would be pixel-based. What that means is you go and you visited a site. Example, I looked at some elliptical runners. And I went to the store, looked at them, and thought, that's okay, but I want to do some research. I went online, started doing research on elliptical runners. I thought, well, it's okay, I'm just not ready to buy it. I go off. Next time I go online, what pops up on my screen? An ad for elliptical runners. Coincidence, fate, destiny, all right? Alchemy, all right? That's retargeting. Retargeting was that I had an interest in there. When I went on the site, there's certain code that's written. They installed something called a cookie on my site because I looked, and lo and behold, every time I'm looking right now, I started to see ads for that. It's getting better, it's getting smarter. Who knows what the next version of this is along those same veins? Intuitive marketing. Intuitive marketing means that right now, they've given up on me. I did eventually buy an elliptical runner. It's still in the box, maybe next year. But intuitive marketing is that now I'm getting ads for sneakers, running, track gear, sweatpants, shorts. Because Google Asia knows so much about me, they know where I live, they know how old I am. I'm also starting to get some ads for glucosamine, Bengay, okay? So they're figuring, okay, this guy is looking for this stuff, he's pretty old, he lives here, he might have some discretionary income, you know, he goes on WebMD. So all these things are starting to pop up. So that's retargeting. And that is pixel-based, meaning I've been on there and they attach something to me and it's going to come back. And the next version is intuitive marketing. Because I like this, I might also like this. Because I'm a candidate for this, you know, this is probably the guy to buy this as well.
But isn't that really to some extent already here? Because if you
Yes.
go onto Amazon and you look at something or Home Depot and they say, people who looked at this also look, they like
Yes.
this.
It absolutely is here, it absolutely is around, and it keeps getting better and better. One of the early adapters to that, Netflix. Think back when you first started looking at Netflix, what did they tell you? Because you like this, you might like this.
I noticed last night they have a percentage now.
Of the match.
Of a match. Like,
Yeah.
this is like a 96% match to what we think you'll like.
Yep. And
Freak
everything,
out.
I know, it's something like that. And they're usually right,
I watched it.
right? Even, did you? And,
Okay, I'll try it.
I'm so eclectic in what I
Yeah.
I watched the first episode, so
can I ask a question though? Would you give it a chance, even if you didn't think you liked it, but it seemed to be a good match?
Yeah, I did.
Right.
I was sitting there last night wondering, like, what am I going to watch? I'm like, well, this is a 96% match based on the thing I just finished watching.
So you're in.
So I was like, all right, I'll watch one episode, and now I'm going to watch the next one as soon as possible.
My family started doing Stranger Things because of that. It came up as a good match, now we're all hooked. And again, what made me do it, was it that? Yeah, plus people are telling me how good it is, peer pressure, everything else. I'm sorry, you had a...
How much is this pixel-based and intuitive retargeting eroding strong established brands or a brand that already has a strong market in a certain area? Is this a way that smaller brands or up-and-coming brands can kind of break into that market share?
I think that's a great question, and I think the answer is maybe. And very definitive in the way I said, very confident. I think so, and I think it is a way for smaller brands to break in. That's why they're doing it. Because when you talk about some of the big brands that have been around forever, iconic brands, there are people that are brand evangelists. And what I mean by that is if, you know, I'm gonna buy Coca-Cola, and I'm gonna buy Coca-Cola because I love Coca-Cola, and everyone who doesn't drink Coca-Cola is doing it wrong, and you've got to have Coca-Cola, and are you gonna sway me? Probably not. But Jason is saying, you know, Coca-Cola is okay, but I would try Pepsi, I would try RC, and then suddenly somebody installs something, they're looking at it, they start chipping away at him. So he may be someone who'd be susceptible to that. Where had he not known about that other brand, or not been reminded of it, or told that he would like it, he may never have tried it. So yes, I think that I'll go beyond maybe. Yes, I think that could definitely start to chip away at iconic brands, and we're starting to see it. You've seen it with, we did a seminar not too long ago, and we used a mattress company, as an example. Where a little known mattress company that, you know, people never heard of, but they started doing some viral, they started doing some digital marketing, they started doing some retargeting. You know, somebody would look at different things and they started to wear away at the big boys, bless you. So yeah, it's a great way to get in, and it's very affordable. Retargeting is very inexpensive to do, if you do it right. And then list-based, good question. Thank you for the feedback. List-based, contacts already in your database. What's the most common form of list-based retargeting, remarketing? Email blasts, newsletters. Don't overlook them. They're powerful. Why? They already have an interest in what you're doing. They already know you. They already like you. They already trust you. Use it. It's a great way to go, and it's very inexpensive. Native advertising is another form of paid media. It's a form of display advertising. The difference is, though, it looks like it's just content. It fits right into your news feed. Why native? Think about, what's a good illustration of that? Think about on your lawn. Has anyone ever seen these? What are they? They're beautiful, benevolent, lovely buttercups, okay? For some people, they look at them and what do they see? Spring. My daughter, look, Dad, flowers. Oh, Dad, look at them. And she has to go pick them and pull them out. And then what does mean old Dad want to do? Mow them. Kill them. What are they to me? They're weeds. All right? So native advertising is either the benevolent, lovely buttercup or it's a weed. It just depends on how you look at it. Because it fits into your news feed just like the buttercup fits into your lawn, and it's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of whether or not you're interested in what they're doing. So native advertising can be very effective because some people will look at it and just completely ignore it and think it's crap. Other people are going to look at it, see it, and think, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I was looking for. This brightened my day. Try and love the buttercup. When you talk about sponsored and promoted posts, okay, a couple different ways to do it. Here is your normal post. This is just something we put together. This is it on social media, Facebook ads, and how to do boosted posts. Just regular, standard post. This is a promoted post. How do you know it's promoted? I can't see the screen right here. What does it say up in the corner? Sponsored. What does it also encourage you to do when you talk about a promoted post? What's the idea of a promoted post? Take action. To do what? Share it. Yeah. We want you to get it out there. We want people to know about it. So it encourages you to like the page. How about a Facebook ad? What does an ad want you to do? And share. And what else does an ad want you to do? What's the whole purpose of an ad? Purchase, engage, convert. So a Facebook ad does everything these other two does everything the other two do, but it also encourages you. I'm sorry, I can't read my own screen here. What does it say? Did you guys
It's a
see?
URL and a call to action button.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah.
And thank you. And there's a call to action button. I can't see with my glasses, can't see without them, and my screen went blank again. So hang on a minute. All right. And the thing about it is, ads encourage you to take action if they're done well. They look the same on the surface. It's a question of what the intent is and what they would like you to do. Doing it again. Should have paid attention to the AV guys in high school. There we go. One thing too, we talked about how do you know if ads are working, how do you know what's effective, how do you know if you can be better? Who does split testing with their ads? I'm going to strongly encourage anyone who's buying ads and using digital ads to do a little split testing. We did very, very well. This is an ad for Millwood Furniture. This ad was producing results. This ad was getting action. People were moving on it. But we did a little research and we found out that traditionally, ads that have more clear pictures, ads that have bigger graphics, do better than ads that have more text. In fact, using the formulas, we found out that this ad was a little text heavy. And it's always a struggle where the content guys, the writers, want you to have more text.
Yep.
What do the designers want?
More visual.
More visual. In this case, the designers were right. By eliminating this text, this ad went from, statistics, we reached 23% more people and got 16% more clicks. The ad was very effective before and we thought we had a winner and we're all proud of ourselves and everybody's high-fiving thinking it's great. By doing a little bit of research, by having a little bit of guts to split test, we actually got a lot better results by getting rid of it. So do a little, split test.
Just a quick point. I don't know who else may have been hit by this, but we did an ad very similar, but on the left, and it actually said like Open House 2017. That was all the words that were on it. We actually got a notification from Facebook saying, we've stopped your ad because there's too much copy on your image.
Wow.
So they halted my ad that had 3 words, Open House 2017.
And that wasn't
And
enough
all
on
your
your
eyes.
eyes. Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of crazy.
I do too.
We face that, I face that all the time, like that's how I have to plan our ads, because if it, like if I want to run a string of photos, like a carousel, you know, if I have too much of anything, we can't, and I want to boost
flags
the
it.
post, it's denied, because there's too much text.
Okay.
So they want mostly an image with a little bit of text, I want a little bit of a
Yep.
description. If it's mostly an image of a chicken sandwich or a drink or whatever it is, that's great.
Then it's okay.
But if there's too much text, I don't know, maybe it's taking the person too much time reading and getting the person to click to the next ad, I really don't know, but
Yeah.
we're limited with that.
Okay.
I kept
So-
mine like
It's a
too.
strategy.
So good, graphics,
I must stop putting any font.
Just put images.
Yeah.
With,
images are a big deal. Images are a big deal.
and if you have a lot of text in the image, like say I said, the new chicken sandwich or whatever.
Oh, right, that's what I'm talking about.
In the image,
Right.
that's even too much. They
That-
just want a graphic.
That's what
I was
hurt us
talking
here.
about. One-
We
like one
blocked the
left.
image with text, and that's what hurt us in that. It didn't blow us out of the water, but it hurt our conversion rates.
Can you briefly explain the mechanics of split testing from your experience?
The mechanics are, you run X amount of ads a certain way, track the results, and run ads a little bit different and track the results there, and just see which ones get better results. And try and think of it like a laboratory. You want to keep the conditions as close together as possible, meaning if I ran these two different ads but sent them on completely different days, or sent them to different demographics, or a broader audience base, I wouldn't get a true test of whether or not it worked because of who I sent it to or because of the ad itself. So try and keep all conditions similar and change one thing at a time and see what works.
So those two ads, I happen to know were running concurrently, so we were running them at the same time to the same audience. Facebook is smart enough to not serve the same ad like multiple times, but essentially we could see over this time period, and we looked at the same time period, the same people. These were the two ads both running, one scoring 23% higher in terms of views, and then also better click-through rate. So we then stopped running the first ad on the left and proceeded only with running the second ad on the right.
Good. Thank you for the clarification. So
Absolutely.
all things being equal, we know it influenced the conversion. Good, thank you. Good point. One thing too, when you're doing posts, promoted posts are about value and entertainment. It shouldn't be just a pitch, okay? Remember, why are people on social media? Is it to buy your stuff? No. They're there to be entertained. They're there to be engaged. They want to learn things. They want to have fun. Be clever on how you do it. Don't just be in there pitching. When you talk about promoted posts and the ones that work, make it visual. We've gone back and forth. It's graphics. People like to look at pictures. And Google knows people like to look at pictures. That's why they penalize you if you're not giving them enough pictures. Ask questions. Give expert information. Hold contests. Share inspirations. Again, it can't be just buy our stuff, buy our stuff, buy our stuff. It's give people a reason to go and check it out. Make it different, make it interesting, make it valuable, so people start to look forward to what you have going on. Make special offers, share stories, look behind the scenes, and celebrate customers, right? How many of you do different posts and do things that help your customers or highlight your customers? I know they do in the Visitors Bureau. It's not about them, it's about you. They get that. That's what makes it interesting for people. What you shouldn't do? None of this stuff. Don't have ads or don't have promotions that are hard to understand. Don't have things that are sketchy. Don't use dull visuals. Don't use confusing copy. Don't make unclear messages. Okay? One of the things we talk about here is Barclay card. It's confusing. It's wasting copy space with information that's unclear. The visuals are small. And here's the thing. How'd you like to hear this? Some restrictions apply. What does that mean? That's like some assembly required. What does that mean when you see that? Run and hide, get out of there, get away from it. Make sure that when you're doing things, make them big, clear visuals, make sure they're interesting, make sure there's nothing confusing. Here they talk about 34.9% APR representative variable. What does that mean? Can't wait to click on that. Oh, wow. Make sure it's something compelling. Make sure it's something interesting. Don't confuse people. So, creating advertising is powerful. Number one, powerful ads need to be integrated. Okay? Your customers are integrated. Your customers have all different needs. Your customers gather information in different fashions. Your customers want things that are interesting. Your ads need to reflect that. Everything you're doing needs to reflect who the customers are. Put it together in formats that they want to get information in cross channels. Okay? Perfect example. Who knows about Small Business Saturday? When is that? Coming very soon. Who knows the history of this? Do you guys know how this got started?
It was a reaction to Black Friday. It was a sort of a counter movement.
Yep. Specifically done by American Express. Why American Express? American Express needed to set themselves apart from every other credit card. Why? How many people have a Visa or a MasterCard? How many people have an American Express? Some of you. American Express was losing. They, number one, wanted to give their retailers an edge. Hey, let's beat the big box guys, let's go into it. So they're saying, look, we're the small guys too. We relate to you, we're just like you. They started a little campaign. And this started off again as just American Express. They wanted to do an integrated campaign. They wanted to empower their small stores. So they started off just some promotions in store. They had table tents, they had check stuffers, different things. But then they got some national TV, radio. They went on social media, they did some Twitter. They did PR campaigns. They involved the US government. They provided logos, posters, digital assets. That started back in 2010. How big is that today? Say that again?
I have my tote bag, they're distributing tote bags all over downtown.
Good for you. And that's a big deal, and we should, my little plug, we should support small businesses, okay? But let me ask you a question. What would have happened if American Express had this great idea and all they did was hand out tote bags? Or all they did was give you little cards to put in your window? Or all they did was put check stuffers in the bills for all American Express? Would it have been successful?
No.
Maybe. Would it have been crazy like it is now? The difference is integration. Ask yourselves the same thing. How are you marketing your business now? How are you getting the word out to people to find out about you? And if you're just using social media, you will reach a certain percentage of people. If you're just doing radio, you will reach a certain percentage of people. If you're just doing word of mouth, you're going to reach people. But what happens when you integrate all the different strategies available that your customers look to for information? How much more successful can you potentially be? And what if you did all those and you did it right? And you use the components that make up good ads? What if you did it and you tracked it and you split tested it and you got better and better and you invested your money? What would happen to the good campaigns you're doing now? What's the potential for how big that could grow? That's the whole idea of doing advertising correctly. It's the whole idea of doing advertising following a format. It's the whole idea of doing advertising strategically. And it's the whole idea behind doing advertising in an integrated fashion. Don't settle for where you are. Think about where you could be. And I'll say this. Everyone should be doing the most amount of advertising that they can afford to do where it's not going to break the bank. You need to have the best website you can afford to have. You need to put together the best campaigns you need to have. Your ads need to be as good as they have. What if you just did this? Don't spend $1 more than you're spending now. Just do better ads. Put them in a better format. Track them a little better. Make sure you're following the principles that make it work well. $1 million question too. Well, how much advertising should we do? Now, according to the U.S. Small Business Association, 7 to 8% of your gross revenue is for not just advertising, but advertising and marketing. So ask yourself those questions. What's your top line? And what percentage are you putting into marketing and advertising? What influences this too? What are your goals? And how much do you want to grow? Do you want to maintain? What's the competition like? Are you in a highly competitive area? And are you where you want to be right now? If you're doing everything you can and you're happy with it and things are fine, great, keep doing what you're doing. If you want to grow and you want to beat the competition, you do have to invest some money to make it work. What if you did this too? Again, what if you stop, don't increase, just do better with what you have? How much of an impact would that have? And make sure your message is on point first, And again, make sure your ads are doing what they're supposed to do. You're already doing them, you're already spending the money, let's make sure they're as good as they can. Who was it that said this? Carl Pearson said, that which is measured improves, that which is measured and reported improves exponentially. So everything you're doing, we're going to strongly encourage you. Track it, measure it, learn from it. Recreate that which is doing well, question it, see if it can be better, and either eliminate or really improve things that aren't. And how do you measure it? If you're talking about digital, there's split testing. You look at your reach, you look at your click-through rate, social reactions, conversions. Traditional media can track with unique offers, unique URLs, send them to landing pages, codes, trackable phone number. And how about this, the oldest form of tracking in history? How'd you hear about it? It still works. Train your people to do that. So putting it together. Start with a strategy, not a wish, a strategy. Put a plan together, write it down, and then make sure it happens. Don't just make a great plan, don't talk about it, don't worry about it. Get out there and make it happen. And base it on your goals and your audience. Remember, attention, interest, desire, action. Those are the components of compelling ads. Choose tactics based on where your customers are. How do you find your customers? Use tactics that reach those particular customers. And create consistent messaging that goes across multiple channels. People get their information in different ways. Make sure you're covering all your bases so that you connect with people no matter what means they use to get information. I'm tired. Any questions? I know you got it. Go ahead.
So would you recommend doing a little bit of all platforms to integrate, or would you say if you had a certain dollar figure to just do one or two and saturate that as best as you can?
That's a great question, and that's $1 million question too. If I had just a couple, if I had a set budget, would I go across multiple channels or hit a couple? I would probably focus on that which yielded the best results if I had a limited budget and hit that hard. And then when I started to get results from that, I'd probably branch out. Now, I'm going to put the big maybe on this. It depends. If you've got 1 or 2 channels where a majority of your clients are getting information, then hit those hard. Hit those hard. If it's 5%, then you've got to spread it out a little bit.
And I guess you would have to test the water initially amongst all those channels to come up with that, because you
Yes.
wouldn't know where you're gonna have the best results at first. So,
Yeah, we do a little digging, do a little homework first. I'd have to ask a lot more questions, but my guess would be, or my gut is telling me, I'd focus on 1 or 2 things and do them well, then spread out a little bit from there.
and my other question is, the statistic you had about the gross, like how much you should spend on advertising from the gross, 7 to 8%, I think you said, gross revenue. Does that include personnel salary, or is that just marketing spend?
It would depend on if your personnel is involved in marketing and sales, then it would be included in that number. But again, everyone will tell you something different. And you're in the hotel business?
Yeah, I'm gonna say, they need to give me more money.
I
because
say, yeah.
That's,
You're probably
my
good.
figures are off.
Because again, how competitive is your business right now? How competitive is this market? And how much is a customer worth? So when you talk about that and you talk about getting, let's say you get an extra $1,000, what's a customer worth if you make a conversion? So competitive markets generally have bigger budgets to work with. And the second part of that too is, what kind of return are you looking to get? Do you want to own the market? Do you want to just get your fair share? Are you okay getting a little below the fair share? Do you want to take all the share? All those go into it. Hardest thing to do though is convince people in a board meeting that needs to happen. I understand, I've been there.
How consistent does your consistent messages have to be? Are you talking about exact verbiage?
Good question. People ask that all the time because they say, well, look, the message is just a little bit different depending on who you're talking to. I'll say your core message needs to remain consistent throughout. You can tweak it a little bit based on the audience, and I'll give you an example of that. I'm going to use Domino's Pizza. Sorry, it's just a better illustration than Chick-fil-A. All right, Domino's Pizza. When you think about Domino's Pizza, what do you think of? What's Domino's Pizza? Pizza. And it's delivered, and it's cheap, and it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. So when you talk about Domino's Pizza, there are certain people that eat Domino's Pizza. I'm going to eat Domino's Pizza when I have 4 or 5 of my stupid friends over to watch a football game. All right? And why am I going to buy Domino's Pizza? Because I know they're going to get here in a hurry. I know it's going to be cheap. I know everyone's going to like it. I know my buddy Will's going to eat the whole one by himself. And I just, we know what it's going to be. Am I expecting greatness? No. So how am I going to find my Domino's Pizza? I'm probably going to be a Clipper magazine guy. I'm probably going to be, I've got a coupon laying around the house. Domino's Pizza for my wife. Why is my wife going to buy Domino's Pizza? She's going to buy Domino's Pizza because I have twins that just turned 12. We had 2 separate birthday parties because I have a boy and I have a girl. So we had Domino's Pizza for the girls' party. We had Domino's Pizza for the boys' party. Why did she buy Domino's Pizza? Because they're kids. What do kids eat? One of 3 things. Kids eat chicken fingers, they eat hot dogs, or they eat pizza. That's it. She knows if she buys Domino's Pizza, again, the kids aren't going to hate them. She can get different topics. It's going to be okay. So how is she going to find Domino's Pizza? She's going to get a coupon online. She's going to do a Facebook thing. The friends are going to do something. Someone's going to have some kind of program. So is the core message the same? Yes, the core message is it's inexpensive, it's delivered, you can count on it, you know what you're going to get. But the method by which I bought that Domino's Pizza and what my motivation is different from the way she bought those Domino's Pizza and what her motivation is. So the core message is the same. What you got out of that core message and the way you found the information was a little bit different. Okay? So should the message be consistent? Yes. Can you tweak it a little bit based on the audience and how they buy things? Slightly. Does that make sense?
Like features and benefits.
Yeah. It's what's important to me. The way, and the 50,000-foot question on that is the way the core message is the same, but what changes is the way people gather, consume, and disseminate that specific message. We gathered in a certain channel, we consumed it because of what we mean to it, and the way we use it and express it is a little bit different, but the core message is the core message. Okay, does that make sense? It's a little bit.
It's kind of what I expected.
Okay, it's expected from you, Chris. Okay, good. No, good question, sir.
So as a small nonprofit, we run a little museum.
Yes.
Obviously, we don't have a big budget for advertising. To a certain extent, we rely upon the Convention and Visitors Bureau website and links there, Susquehanna Heritage website and
Yes.
links there. So those things are one way that people find us. And given that that's one way that people find us, if we are going to spend money, does that change how we should target what we do?
Great question, and I would say, and I'm not just saying this because the Visitors Bureau is working with us on this, but the Visitors Bureau was designed and is for businesses like yours, because you can't afford to compete and advertise against the whole world by yourselves. The big thing with you is make sure when people visit the Visitors Bureau website or when they're looking at Visitors Bureau information, that you really stand out. So if you're asking me the best bang for your buck, I'd say 2 things. Number 1, as good a presence as you can get through the Visitors Bureau, and that's a combination of your ad in there, your, whatever, if you get into publication, if you're online, make sure everybody at the Visitors Bureau knows who you are. So when people are visiting, they think of you. And I'll say make sure you've got the best website you can possibly have, because part of the process before they go to your museum, no matter how they found you, they're checking out online. They're going to look at your website. They're going to look at your website. They're going to look at your Facebook page. So for people with very small budgets, I'd say do it in that order. Have as best a website as you can have and have as good a Facebook page as you can have, because that's part of the process.
One thing we do spend some money on is putting ads in things that we think have affinity to us.
Okay.
So we do like homeschool publications because we're
Good.
interested in.
And you're inexpensive and right.
And is this a sensible strategy?
I definitely think that's a sensible strategy, because you know that homeschool people are going to come to you, and they can come weekdays when you're not busy, right? When you need the visit. So yeah, I think it's sensible. Again, Make sure though the ads you're putting in there has a good draw to it. Make sure you're getting people to the website, and then make sure you're tracking it. Let's see if it's, I think it's a good thing, you think it's a good thing, but let's not think, let's know. Let's track it so that we take the emotion out of it and we know how many people actually came to you through homeschool publications or through the homeschool system. Good question. And then one a lot of us share. Even for-profit companies don't have unlimited budgets or giant budgets. Some of us have more than you have to work with, but we all answer to somebody and we all answer to budgets to some extent. Other questions? I will say thank you. I appreciate your time. Hope it was worthwhile. Hope everyone took away a couple things. I will ask, please fill out the surveys. If there's things you think we can be doing, great. And two other things. If there are people in here that would like to speak to us about a specific marketing topic, you want to get an idea, you want to just get an opinion, happy to do it. We'll sit down with you formally if you'd like, or we'll just, bounce an idea or give you an opinion. There's a few of you that have taken us up on that, and I think you found it wasn't completely painless. It was okay. No big sales pitches. If we can help you, we'll tell you. If we can't, we'll tell you that too. And I'm okay just giving away a little advice if it helps. Okay. But if you would fill out the survey, and we do have a drawing. Did everyone put their business card in the basket as they came in? Everybody?
We do have a drawing.
We're going to draw it out. It's for a valuable prize.
Last chance if anybody wants to throw a business card in here.
Do you want to have Suzanne pull it?
Yeah. Alrighty.
Just for Domino's Pizza?
Domino's Pizza, I have Paul Nevin.
Paul? All right, good. Congratulations, you won a $25 gift card. Yay! So Paul and I are going to lunch. Your choice of places, Paul. Well, again, everybody, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And thank you to our friends at the Wyndham. Thank you to our friends with York County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Thank you for my team that helped make everything happen today. So appreciate your time.